you're a big fan of Jameis. He's a gunslinger, man. I don't think he gets enough credit, to be quite honest.
Yeah. Well, he gives a lot to the game, man. I think part of it is, his passion he has for it. I think he appreciates what he's doing right now. And I told early on the show, we were just talking about that when a guy goes through a lot and he doesn't quite know where he's going to be at, knowing he's starting at this moment, he has a great appreciation for the game. And so when you see it, you see the passion, you see the love for it. But he brings a lot of fire to what they're doing. So I like what he gives. I like that he has a full love, of the Lord and just want to be out there and enjoy it with his teammates. And I think they really need to be injected with some type of that energy, really. So it's always good to see.
Yeah, and he's probably one of the best sound bites and interviews that's come around the NFL in a really long time. His interviews are always fantastic. They're always something you can snip from that. A nice little clip from his interviews. But yeah, JD. So obviously Jameis Winston playing against him this week, and we're talking about our defense and offense. I mean, this can be a get right game on both sides of the ball. We're about to dive into the defensive side of things here. So Chiefs. We talked about last week on the show, turnover differential. We're the only AFC team in the playoffs that has a negative turnover differential. Just looking at more of the numbers, Chiefs 24th in the league in sacks, 27th in turnovers. And looking at the last 6 games, and I'm really only looking at the last 6 games since Jameis Winston's taken over. So just different offense altogether for Cleveland. It's a high flying offense, but as well as there is opportunity here for us. So last 6 games. They've allowed Jameis Winston to get sacked 18 times. I think he's second right now in the last six games to Patrick Mahomes, who's been sacked 23 times in the last 6 games. But 18 times is no joke either. In that same period, the Chiefs have only sacked quarterbacks 12 times. So they're giving up a little bit more than what we've been doing to quarterbacks. Also in the last 6 games, the Browns have given up the ball, be it fumbles or interceptions, a total of 12 times. Within that same period, the Chiefs have only caused 2 turnovers. So Browns getting the ball 12 times in 6 games. You've only caused 2 turnovers in that 6-game span, which plays into the whole turnover differential aspect of it. We're not getting turnovers. JD, what are some things that you think that Spags can kind of throw at Jameis Winston that kind of gives him trouble and just kind of can maybe be our get right game as far as sacks and turnovers against the Cleveland Browns this week?
I think one of the things you have to do is you got to pressure him as much as possible. Obviously, we see when the minute who coming back, he adds on to what we do as far as defensively. And so his addition, I think, has helped out, obviously, Kalafdis, Chanel being used on the line of scrimmage, hopefully on, defensive line of scrimmage sometimes. Guys coming from different angles. And if you're on nickel, you bring the safety down in the box, you could blitz from there. Spags does a great job of changing some things around that confuses offenses. So he's, like I said, he's one of the best in the business that does it. And so I don't see any this week being any different, honestly, to be honest. And so that's what we're looking for. We're looking for Chris Jones to have a good game, Charles Minton have a good game, FAU have a good game, Kalofsky have a good game, Wharton have another good game. All the guys up there, Mike Dana, every guy that's been able to come out to Jameson needs to feast and eat. That's the way I look at it. So, this week's going to be a good week for us. So when you sit there and you see the number of sacks they've been giving up, that's a good indication of what you're about to see. So hopefully on the opposite end of it, I know we had DJ Humphries in, and we kind of spoke about that a little bit. But Wanye's coming back. He's going to be in that position. Hopefully he's been able to hold up. I think he'll be able to. Maybe there's a couple of extra days of rest that he needed was enough to get him somewhat healed up to do the job. Now he's have a heavy thing on his hand with Charles Menahu. Myles Garrett on the other side. Myles Garrett is one of the premier defensive end and pass rushers in the league. And so what do you do with that? Run a straight football at him, some chips, get help Joe Tooney, helping him out as well. So those things you got to be able to help, okay? Wanye in those situations. Other than that, man, we should do a very good job about field. So.
JD, when you see that, the big staggering part of this whole six game stretch is the fact that 6 games we've only gotten 2 turnovers. I mean, that's just like, what do you think that is? Do you think that's the culprit of not being able to get to the quarterback? That our pressure rate just hasn't been what it has been like last year, for example. I mean, 2 turnovers in 6 games. I mean, that's I couldn't believe that number. I had to look that over again. I was like, that is wild.
Yeah, you just got to be, you got to be able to punch the ball out. You got to be able to rip the ball out. But also, too, the pressure is part of it. And once you get pressure, you get errant throws. You get the guys rushing what they want to be able to do. And you get some balls falling on guys. And so we just need to be in a position in the secondary to make plays. And that's another thing. What we've been seeing in the past few weeks. Is we have been giving up some of the big plays. We haven't necessarily been in the hip pocket of some of these wide receivers to be in a position to dictate what they do offensively. And so hopefully this week it's going to change. And we know, Marcus, I've said this, we are not a finished product by no means. And so we're going to continue to try to do that, try to put the pressure on the guys, but also to challenge the receivers as much as possible. We know they got Jerry Jeudy, they got a Moore, they got rid of Kadarius Toney. That was the guy they got rid of, in Joku. So they got some talented guys. Also, too, we talked about running back wise. They got Ford, and they also got Nick Chubb, who's trying to get back into his old form. So this is a good challenge for our defense. It's a really good challenge for our defense.
When you see, as far as I know, we've been cooked by tight ends all year long. I mean, last week we saw the number 2 guy who had 2 catches all season. He came in and had his career high.
Yeah.
Are you, of all the guys they have, because they have Jeudy, Elijah Moore, Cedric Tillman, I think is the other receiver they have there as well. Are you more concerned about Njoku over all the guys on that team? Do you fear him the most as far as a guy taking over the game? As far because Winston has been throwing him a lot. I think he's targeted him more than any other receiver he's had over there.
Yeah. So I think what you had to do is just really get in his, in his chest. You got to push around on him. Njoku is a very talented tight end, and I think, like you said, Jameis Winston is starting to look for him a lot, throw the ball to him. But any of these guys could kind of step up and try to, make plays. So we just got to do a much better job, safety-wise, linebacker-wise, to cover a guy like Njoku. And like I said, a guy who's not just big and fast, but he catches the football, very athletic. So it's a good challenge, like I said before. We just got to be up for the task. That's it.
Yeah, so you talked about we're not being a finished product, and we brought in Steven Nelson this week. We were raving about that. We love that idea on the post-game show on Sunday, and it became a reality the following day. But PFF, obviously, we kind of laugh at PFF sometimes because their numbers are just, but with this, he was one of the top press corners last year, and he retired. Comes back. I mean, but look at his numbers last year, one of the top press corners. And he had 4 interceptions last year, which I believe would be the lead on our team. Do you think Steven Nelson, do you think he plays this weekend? Do you think he gets a good amount of playing time this weekend?
If he's in shape, he's ready to go. Sure. Why not? The thing about him is he's a veteran. He understands what it is, what it takes. Usually guys like him, they stay, ready to go. And so for him, it's just going to be like riding a bike. What we haven't been seeing enough of is maybe our DBs not putting hands on receivers. And that's what Nelson does a great job of. We've been looking for a guy like that. So I'm excited to see what he's going to do this week. I know he's going to come in here. He's going to be ready to play. So if he gets to play this week, sure. Why not? But like I said, it all is based off of, is he in shape? Is he ready to go? That's it. That's all it boils down to. So,
yeah, I remember last week you were saying that you were nervous about the DJ Humphries thing because you didn't want him to rush because you see it's more of a long-term thing as far as longer term outlook kind of thing. We want even for the playoffs, for February, and hamstring strains what they're saying. So it's obviously it's not that bad. It's not not torn in muscle or anything. But with this because Humphries was coming from an ACL injury. Steven Nelson hasn't been doing much. I mean, he's probably been staying in shape, but it's still different than game shape. But Are you as concerned because he's not coming back from an injury? You're not that as concerned as you were with Humphries because he's not coming back from injury. He's coming back from, being off the couch.
Yeah, that's part of it. That's part of it. And so, like I said, him running around, staying in shape is going to be more to his benefit. Amder Brown actually makes a great point right here. Amder Brown. The other thing with Nelson is it's not like you have to leave him in the whole game. He can rotate in and out as the condition will allow. Most definitely. Great point, Amder Brown. And so that's a good thing that you have, right? Josh Williams still in, Isaiah's still there. And so when we sit and we watch these guys, in that rotation, how does he fit in? Okay, so if you need him to do something particular, that's something he could do. He could play zone, he could play man. He understands as far as that. It's not going to be too complex with him, okay? It's all about communication back there with him. And then, like I said, being able to adjust for what they ask you to do. Spags, I think Spags get what they need to get out of him too. So what y'all says, Cheetos always get the blame. Yeah, the Cheetos. I don't know if Nelson been on the couch eating Cheetos with you. I don't know. So hopefully he hasn't. If he has, then we're going to find out real quick. That means Jerry Jeudy or somebody's going to run right by him. So the Cheetos is the culprit.
Yeah. I mean, as Chief fans, we saw Darrelle Revis was a little pudgy when he came back. So a lot of people haven't forgotten about that. They're still scarred by looking at Darrelle Revis when he came back from Kansas City. He had a bit too many Cheetos, and I think he might have some cheese curls in there as well.
Man, Revis looked like a strong safety, man. Strong safety, a linebacker. But that was kind of one of those things. On the name alone, sometimes, man, you just got to be in shape. So,
yeah, that's funny. Yeah, so Cheetos, Cheetos always win. Undefeated Cheetos. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.